Hello. I have a couple of paranormal stories I'd like to share. Um, they happened in a long-term care facility over the last year and a half that I've been working at. I am an HCA there, which is a nursing aide, and we have nurses on staff as well. These two stories in particular, one happened to a nurse and another nursing aide friend of mine, co-workers, on the midnight shift, and the other one happened to me about a month ago. The one that happened to them was from last year. I'll start off with that one. That was a cool one. Probably about a year ago, in our facility we have half of it is kind of like apartments set up for people that just don't want to clean their houses or do their laundry or make their own meals anymore. They want to be in a facility setting but still have their home away from home kind of thing. So we have residents over there that we as the nursing staff don't see a lot of unless there's emergencies or something. So this one particular evening, well not evening, it was midnight shift, probably about 2:30 in the morning. The nurse's station got a call. Our night shifts, there's only one nurse, one HCA on that takes care of the whole building during the night shift. So they normally only, like, they work together and they go everywhere together. So they were in the nursing station and they got a call from this man's room, and they thought right away, like, this isn't normal because something must have happened, because he is one of the ones that they don't see a lot of, so they figured it was an emergency. So they were trying to talk to him through his room, but he wasn't answering. So they grabbed their phones and they went upstairs to his suite. And when they walked in, he was laying on his bed. He was still in bed, and he had passed away. And from what they said, it looked like he'd been gone for a little while already, because rigor was starting to set in. And then that's when it dawned on them, like, who called? So they were looking around the room, and the HCA, this one friend of mine, she said she went into the bathroom and his call bell was attached to, oh shoot, what are they called? Like those bars that they put beside the toilet so that you can get up, you can help push yourself up off the toilet. It was tied to that. So that was, yeah, that freaked them right out. They were so scared because they knew, like, who had done that. He'd been gone for a little while already. He was starting to get cold. So yeah, that's a really interesting story. The thing too that I'd like to mention is in our facility we have mostly foreign people, so we have cultures from all over the world that work there, and I, as a Canadian, find that so refreshing because they're very open-minded when it comes to the paranormal, like paranormal activity and things like that. So even though they're looking for logical explanations for things like this to happen, on the other side of it, they do believe that things like this can happen. So yeah, they were both terrified. They were telling us in the report the next day, like, they were just fit to be tied. Like, you could see they were still scared. They didn't want to be on night shift anymore. They definitely weren't left alone the rest of the night. It was funny. So anyway, that's that one incident. The one that I experienced happened probably within the last month. We had a long-time resident who was not really catatonic, I guess. She could still eat and move her eyes and things like that, but she couldn't talk. And she hadn't been able to talk for as long as I've been there, because I've never heard her speak or anything. The only thing I could ever hear her do was, like, grunt, things like that. And she was, like, really stiff, and she was in a lot of pain recently because she had some bed sores that we were trying to help heal. So we were really careful with repositioning her and stuff like that, and we didn't want her sitting in her wheelchair for often. So what we did was, the nurse, like the charge nurse, had us start bringing the meals up to her room. and feed her in bed instead of down in the dining area. And I really love this woman. I don't know, like I always really loved her because even though she couldn't speak, she always had like the expression in her face. You can always see what she was, or I don't know, it's probably just a carried sense, I guess, because I'm with her lots. So I can sense what she's feeling kind of thing. So I really love that nonverbal communication that we had. So I would often volunteer to go upstairs alone with her and feed her and spend some time with her. And probably over the last, like let's say, starting about a month ago, because here she passed away probably about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So maybe 6 weeks to a month ago, I started feeding her supper time in, like, her suppers in her bed. And I was the only one upstairs with her. Everyone else on the floor was downstairs in the dining area during those times. And probably about the third day that I started feeding her in the quiet room together, all of a sudden there was like tapping that we could hear behind us. It was like a dresser, that, like a homemade dresser that she had in her room that had blankets and things in it. And it sounded like it was coming from the door of this little dresser. So I remember getting up, like I'd talk to her like she was still cognitive, because basically she was. So I always had this nonverbal thing. She doesn't talk, I talk. And she would often laugh at me. But anyway, so I kind of said to her, I said, I wonder if you have mice. And you know, she's an old cookum, so she kind of just smiled, and I said, okay, well just give me a second, I'm going to go check. So I got up and I pulled all the blankets out, just looking for like a little mouse nest or something, because there was like scratching and tapping. And it was loud enough that, you know, it stopped what we were doing, and we were looking around trying to find what it was. And yeah, like I dug through everything, there was nothing. I went into the other armoire and there's nothing in there. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's coming from the wall. And every time it would happen, we'd listen closer, eh? And no, it was definitely coming from this homemade piece of furniture that she had. And I've been in her room thousands of times over the last year and a half, so I knew that that wasn't a normal occurrence in her room. Like, this was something new, because I'd never heard it before. None of my other coworkers had ever heard it before. So I think it had been going on for 2 or 3 days, and then I kind of thought, well, I wonder if it's a spirit hanging around her. So I asked her, like, it was going on again the one night, and I said to her, I said, do you think there's someone here trying to talk to you? And she kind of just looks up at me and smiles. So I started talking to this knocking that was going on, and then it just stopped. It stopped probably about half an hour. And then I can't remember what it was I said. I had said something, and then it tapped twice. And I said, if you know, I don't want to say her name for privacy sense, but if you know, and I said her name, tap twice, and it did it again. And I looked at her and I said, do you know, do you see anything that I don't see? And then, no, I didn't say that. I said that afterwards. I said, yeah, and I asked it to do it again, just to be clear, and it did it again. And all of a sudden, it was funny, because I stopped, like, you know, I was trying to get more food on the spoon to feed to her, and then all of a sudden she just started laughing, and she was looking to this side of me. So there was like someone behind me, and she was laughing and smiling, like her eyes were bright, and she was smiling at whoever this was. And I just kind of looked to the side, and I looked back at her, and I said, you see someone, don't you? And then she looks right back at me, and she's like, big wide grin. And I said, oh, someone's here to see you. Is it your husband? And she didn't nod or anything, but she just kept looking back over. And then it was so strange, because after that, I went downstairs, and I was joking around with the nurses. Like, I went to the nursing station, and I said, either, I don't want to say her name, has mice in one of her cupboards, and I knew that wasn't true because I'd looked through everything. Or she has a spirit in there who's knocking on the walls. And it was so funny because the nurse is like, oh. And then she looks at me, she goes, maybe it's her time. And I thought, oh no, she's healthy, you know, like she's happy and healthy. Like I've seen her sicker. Like I didn't think anything of it. And then it was funny because, like, you know, I did it a couple more days, and then I went on my 3 days off. And during those days off, my daughter is a funeral director that works in this area, and she come home from work and she told me that they did a pickup from my facility. And I just looked at her, I said, who was it? And then she said she can't remember the name. So I said, well, do they have it listed up on the website yet? And I pulled it up and it was her. And I just went, aww. And then she's going, what? Who is that? I said, and then I told her the story. No, I had told her the story before. And I said, do you remember the lady I was telling you about who was seeing someone over my shoulder? That's her. And she just went, oh, Mom, that's creepy. So yeah, that was a pretty awesome story. Yeah, like I love it. I love that story because that's, she was happy. And now she's not in any pain. Now her soul is free again. She can talk, she can run. Like, you know, she had an amputee, she was an amputee, like she had no leg, she hadn't walked for years and years. So yes, I think of her now and she's free and happy. So yeah, those are my 2 stories. I have a whole bunch of stories from this facility that I wanted to share still. I've been wanting to share for months, but I just don't have time. There is, okay, there's like this thing that goes around the lodge. All of the staff and all of the residents know. They talk about this black man. They keep talking about this black man. And from what I understand, because I've been there through a few of these incidents now, where people, either staff or the residents, have seen this black shadowy man, where it's the kind of like the Berenger of death, because someone within the week from close to wherever this man was seen will pass away. And I've seen it happen probably about 6 times in the last year that I've been there. So yeah, I'll talk about all those in another video. I gotta get ready for work here. Talk to you later. Bye.